right, welcome back to Titletown Talk Pod. I'm your host, Jackson Tolliver. We've got a great weekend to go over here in the Boston sports scene. We're going to start it right off with the Boston Celtics, who reclaimed a lead in the playoff series last night with a 104-84 victory over the Miami Heat. Joining me today to talk about the Celtics, I have Mackenzie Bruno, longtime writer for CLNS. It's been like a year at CLNS. What else have you done? You've been all around.
Yeah, kind of just CLNS, covered the Celtics, did a little bit of Patriots stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
do a whole bunch of things at Emerson, but
she's a graduating classmate of mine, and we this is for our professor Gary Tanguay. If you listeners know who Gary Tanguay is, who we have, I have to get him on the podcast soon. He's a Boston media legend, and
shout out Gary.
yeah, shout out to Gary. But this is for him because he told Mackenzie and I that we have to do a podcast together. So I said maybe about 20 minutes ago, Mackenzie, hop on. Let's talk about the Celtics. So here we are. Let's just jump right into it here. Obviously a great rebound from a disappointing game 2 loss. What were the key things that you noticed throughout this game, Mackenzie?
Just honestly, just defensive intensity. As simple as that sounds, the Celtics, like in game 2, it was like they were daring the Heat to shoot. Like obviously they had a historic night, 3-point shooting in game 2 for the Heat, but the Celtics, they're going as far as their defense takes them. And if they don't play defense, if they don't utilize Holiday, if they don't utilize the length of Porzingis in the paint, they can't win. Because at this point in the postseason, like every team is going to be really good offensively. And the Celtics all season had the number 1 defense in the league. And if they can just hone in on that and have complete effort on the defensive end, we see the result. It had nothing to do with their offense, in all honesty.
Yeah, the offense was pretty stagnant for a lot of that game. I mean, 104 points, that's a low number for the Celtics this year, a team that we've seen put up, 150 3 or 4 times this year. So that's low for them. But I mean, holding the Heat to just 84, that was the key. And I feel like the intensity was really dialed up from the beginning. I also felt like the Heat were missing shots that maybe even weren't that well contested by the Celtics. They obviously got off to a really slow start. I believe they only scored 6 points with about 4 minutes left in the first quarter. And I was very frustrated in that first quarter because the Celtics only had like 14 at that point. So I'm like, you're holding them to only 6 points. Put your foot on their necks, step on the gas, and like they should be burying them. Obviously, in the second and third and fourth quarters, they proceeded to do that. But yeah, I think this was definitely a defensive battle. And the key difference maker for me, there's 2. There's one on each side. Porzingis had a great bounce back night, and Hero played like dog water. So those 2 factors are what changed the game for me. Because in game 2, Porzingis, who everyone says is the X factor of the Boston Celtics, was awful. He shot 1 for 9. At 7'3", I don't even know how you shoot 1 for 9, but it was by far his worst game as a Celtic. And Tyler Hero had 14 assists and had his best playmaking game ever. And the Heat, obviously, like you said, shot a ridiculous percentage from 3. I believe it was like their franchise record for threes in a postseason or something. So those 2 guys, I think, were the biggest factors that adjusted this game for the Celtics. But yeah, I mean, besides Hero, if you go down the list, I thought Adebayo was good, but I also thought Porzingis did a decent job on him. Caleb Martin only took 4 shots. Way to finally guard up on him. He had a -23, the worst on the team. I just hate Caleb Martin. I think he's such a loser. But what else stood out to you? I mean, offensively, it was kind of a mediocre game.
Yeah, offensively wasn't great. I thought that Derek White, like when Derek White is having a good game, obviously Jaime Jaquez Jr. was guarding Derek White, and that to me is just a complete mismatch because White can take him out, bring him out to the 3-point line, can beat him off the dribble and distribute the ball that way. Also, Cornette was back into the rotation. He missed the first 2 games. So having him back, I think, is huge. I think role
5
players.
minutes.
Yeah, I think role players at this point in the season though are the difference makers. Like, every team, I mean, like as well as Tatum can play, I think that when you have energy from people like Pritchard and Hauser, and not to say Derek White's a role player, but when Derek White's on, the entire team is on. Like Porzingis played extremely well, and his defensive impact, he has to win that matchup with Adebayo because Bam is going to try to punish him in the paint just because he has a little bit more strength.
A lot
Um,
more strength, I would say. But
yeah, and his footwork is just better. He knows how to get to his spots. So if Porzingis can win that matchup in this series, that's going to be pivotal.
which I thought he did. I mean, held him to below 50% shooting from
Yeah.
the field. There were some plays where Porzingis was guarding him really well, and I was, said audibly, nice defense. Because I thought he did a great job. Pritchard was also a big difference maker last night. I thought. I mean, he only shot 3 for 5, but did everything he had to do. Got some great offensive rebounds. My favorite play of the game was, I believe it was Jaylen Brown got an and one, missed the free throw, and Derek White comes out of nowhere, skying in, grabs the rebound, puts it back up, 4-point play. Those are the type of energy plays that you need to win a game against the Miami Heat, because that's essentially all this team is. It's just energy, right? They don't have the talent to match up with the Celtics. The only way they can beat you is through physicality,
That's their
toughness.
whole game.
Right, exactly.
Like
That's, it literally says on their court, doesn't it? The toughest team in the NBA, whatever
heat
that corny
culture.
saying it
Heat
says on
culture.
their, yeah, yeah, well, yeah, heat culture. But that's the way that the Heat beats you, right? It's through those hustle plays, it's through the grit. And when you're missing Jimmy Butler, it's tough to have that grit, but that's the only way it's possible for this team to beat you is through that. Now, the other guy I want to touch on is Drew Holiday,
Mm.
who I think had a good game. Besides what the numbers would tell you, had a plus 23, which was the best on the team, but he only shot 1 for 5. And Drew Holiday catches a lot of flack, and he caught a lot of flack last game despite having the best plus minus. But what in your mind is the best version of Drew Holiday that the Celtics can have, and what is his role on this team?
Well, I think even if Drew Holiday isn't going offensively, his perimeter defending is what takes this team over the edge. He is one of the best perimeter defenders in the entire league. And, that's why they want him on Team USA, right? Like, he can defend if he really wanted to, 1 through 4, 1 through 5.
Yeah, you could stick him on Bam even.
He just he's suffocating. And like we go back to ball pressure. Like they didn't have that in game 2 at all. They're leaving players wide open. They have that ball pressure. He's able to get steals, just like little plays like that where they're able to get going in transition. That is the best version of Drew Holiday in my mind.
Yeah, I agree. 1 steal, 2 blocks for him last night. For me, it's like I don't even care if he doesn't shoot the whole game. He's the on offense. He should be the
Energy.
quarterback. Either him or Jason Tatum should be the distributor. I think Drew Holiday is a great distributor, and the Celtics are loaded with distributors. I mean, between Derek White, Drew Holiday, and Jason Tatum, who has really taken a leap in that
They were getting
department.
their dribble drive offense to go a little bit more. There was a little more motion
Right.
last game, I think, in terms of
Yeah.
their offense.
No, I
No, it wasn't
agree. Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
amazing.
Dribble drive, and kick, and that's when the Celtics are at their best. They're at their worst when they're playing iso ball, and Tatum and Brown are forcing shots. And I thought Brown was forcing it a little bit last
Mm.
night. Brown finished with 11 for 20 from the field. It seemed like throughout the game it was way worse than that. I thought he was missing a ton of shots. I mean, he was 0 for 4 from 3, but I guess finishing 11 for 20, you can't argue with that.
Yeah, it seemed like he
Um,
was trying to make up for last game a little bit.
Well, right, yeah, but like, and I thought Brown had a good game last game, but he came out in the first quarter really flat at first, and then
Mhm.
picked it up, which is good. But like for the first few minutes of that game, it was really bizarre because no one was scoring on either team.
Yeah,
Uh,
it was sloppy. Very
yeah,
sloppy.
it was a sloppy start to the game. But yeah, overall, I think defense wins championships, as they say, and the Celtics defense won out. What concerns me is how good the teams in the West are doing right now. I'm glad that the Nuggets didn't sweep the Lakers, as I'm sure you are as well.
Goodness, yeah.
Mackenzie is a Lakers fan. Everyone, she's an avid LeBron James fan. But those teams in the West look really good, and I'm very concerned for a potential Celtics appearance in the finals because of how good they look. And if the Celtics are struggling this much with the Heat, that raises some red flags for me. But then again, I think about it, and Eric Spoelstra has been the kryptonite of the Celtics for so long now, since 2020. Even before then, he is the best coach in the NBA. Joe Mazzulla is a above average coach, but he struggles to make adjustments. And looking forward, I don't want to jump ahead too much, but to the next round, I see no way that the Cavs or Magic beat the Celtics team. I just see none. Like they're beating each other up so bad. I mean, the Magic beat the Cavs by 25 yesterday, 50 the night before, after the Cavs beat up on the Magic for their first 2 games. Like, this is a bloodbath, but none of these teams are good. Like it's just like they
But
just get so
that's
hot.
why the scores are so like opposite
Right.
every other night because like they just don't have enough pieces for me. Like as good as I think Banchero has played and Suggs and Donovan Mitchell, like I just
Banchero's a baller for sure.
yeah, like he has obviously carried this team to the postseason, but like they're not beating the Celtics. Like
No.
in my mind, there's no teams that can compete depth-wise with the Nuggets and Celtics, and that's what I anticipate the finals to be.
I would push back on that. I think you're sleeping on Minnesota a little bit. I think the next round, Minnesota versus
They do
Denver.
look scary.
Minnesota
They
versus Denver is going to be good because I think Minnesota has the double big that's like the only lineup that I think can match Jokic. I think
yeah.
Gobert on Jokic is a good matchup for them. So I don't know. I could
Then you
see
have Cat
Minnesota
and Paint. Then you have Cat in the Paint. That
exactly helping out.
if Jokic makes a crazy move trying to make plays off of the little, he backs down and then he does that little flip pass out to the corner,
Yeah,
like then you have someone to contest. You have two lines of defense for Jokic. So yeah, the Timberwolves are a little bit of a matchup nightmare for any
right.
team. I think that teams are going to try to find a way to break down that double big combo, but Anthony Edwards is looking like the
He's looking good. He's looking
second
good.
coming of Michael Jordan.
Yeah, he looks good for sure. And I mean, also to sleep on OKC, they look great. That is a very hurt Pelicans team, and Dallas also looks really good. Giving the Clippers a beatdown. Kawhi's not playing today. They're looking to go up 3-1. So the West is going to be tough. But again, to go back to the East and the Celtics' path, if they can get out of the series, they're in the finals to me. I mean, Giannis and Dame are down. Bucks are about to go out.
Yeah.
Uh, Sixers, Knicks. I don't know what the score is right now. I think that the Sixers are gonna. I'm actually gonna pull it up, but I think the Sixers are gonna win this series if they win this game. I don't think that like the Knicks are having injury. Yeah, they're up by 8 right now in the third quarter. So I would take the Sixers to win this series. Knicks, Mitchell Robinson's hurt, Randall's hurt. I think they're lacking a lot of that size. So you're talking the Sixers or the Pacers, if my predictions are correct in the third round. Celtics have had no problem with the Sixers, and the Pacers don't have the experience. So my honest prediction is Sixers Celtics for the ECF, and Embiid at that point is going to be so worn because he's playing through this hurt knee, and I just couldn't see the Sixers winning that series. So I got the Celtics going all the way to the finals. Still, it is crazy how one game changes that because after game 2, I felt so demoralized because of what happened, and I saw a bunch of ugly habits rear out their heads for the Celtics.
That was
But
an Eric Spoelstra like masterclass though.
oh, it
Like
was. It
he
was
was
just
just
Spoelstra.
hunting.
Yeah,
He was hunting mismatches
yeah.
every chance he could.
That
Like
yeah. You can't let the series become Spoelstra versus Missoula because we all know who wins that battle. And that's no disrespect to Missoula. Spoelstra is arguably a top, not even arguably top 3. He might be the best coach ever. He might be better than like Phil Jackson and Greg Popovich. And
he's
like
never
seriously,
won a coach of
because
the year
because
ever.
look at what he's done with this talent, with this lack of talent rather. It's like and going to the finals twice with a team that is not as good as the Celtics, as the Bucks, as the Sixers, and he's still done it. So hats off to him.
They develop players to fit into their system. Like look at a player like Jaime Jaquez Jr.
Right.
That is just a player that fits that team.
Max
Like
Strus,
they're
same
all
thing.
it's scrappy, it's effort, it's an unconventional style of basketball, but it works.
Yeah, he turns water to wine. Seriously, I mean, he just the way he can transform undrafted free agents, and low draft picks. I feel like they hit every single time, and they don't make huge splashes. When was the last time Miami made a huge splash in free agency? It was Butler, and since then they haven't
Haven't
really. I
and
mean,
they
they
haven't
traded for
really invested.
Lowry.
They haven't really invested. Kyle Lowry was a horrible fit for that team, and now he's on the Sixers,
He got him to
which
the finals. I don't know. I don't think that he was that bad. He got him to the finals. But regardless, this Eric Spoelstra deserves all the praise, and I think next year for the Heat, they're not going to blow this up if they lose to the Celtics. I think the Heat get Dame. I really do. I think the Heat get Dame in this offseason, and next season's going to be like the Heat are going to be a lot better next year for sure because I don't think Dame's going to want to stay in Milwaukee. This has just been a disaster of a season. He hates it there. He wanted to be in Miami in the first place. I think they let go of Dame this year after this first round exit that I think is incoming. Anything could happen. Brooke Lopez could have a legacy game today and somehow carry the Bucks past the Pacers. I just
He
don't see
always
it
seems to do that.
happening. The Milwaukee fans hate Brooke Lopez. They just hate him right now because he's played so bad throughout the series. It's like I don't like is Chris Middleton going to put this team on his back and win a game on the
Chris
road today?
Middleton, the shots he hit the other night, I was like,
Those were nice. Those were nice. I won't
out
lie, but
there.
I just don't see the Bucks making out of this round. Which again, it's like makes the path even easier for the Celtics. My number one concern going into the postseason was a healthy Bucks team. They walloped the Celtics both times that they played in Milwaukee. That was my number one concern, and now it looks like they're not even going to make it out of the first round.
I think
And
Giannis goes too.
no, that's their guy.
You
That's
don't think
their
he wants?
guy.
You don't think he wants a championship?
Of course, he wants a championship, but I think that he believes that he can still do it in Milwaukee.
And they
I don't
got
know.
Doc Rivers like that. Come on, that
I don't know. Listen,
that
this is
team's falling
Title
apart.
Town talk at the end of the day, all right? We don't talk about Milwaukee. We talk about Boston here. And the Boston Celtics, I think, are going to cruise through the rest of these playoffs all the way to the finals, and it should be a good one. Well, Mackenzie, thanks so much for joining me today. Always appreciate you
Thank
coming
you.
on. Yep. All right. I'll definitely have you back on soon, okay? We'll see if the fans react well to you, okay?
Oh
Yeah.
boy.
All right, cool. Oh. Bruins. Boston Bruins up 3-1 in the series after a 3-1 victory over the Toronto Maple Leafs. Loved it. I loved everything about this game, right? On the road again. Leafs looking to tie it up. Instead, you snatch a crucial 3-1 victory to all but win you this series, assuming they don't choke. I don't think they will choke, by the way. 2 more home games. Even though they were up 3-1 last year, I believe, weren't they? Maybe I jinxed it. I don't think so. I think that this Bruins team is different. I think this Maple Leafs team is much worse than that Panthers team was last year. And I feel very confident about the Bruins' ability to now close this out. Let's get into last night's game. Brad Marchand, I'm sorry. I need to issue an apology to Brad Marchand because I thought that his production was down at the end of the season. I didn't think he had a good game 1 or game 2. But these last 2 games, he has been remarkable, and he has been instrumental in securing these victories for the Boston Bruins. Last night had a great goal and a great assist. 2 points. That's all you can ask for it when your team's scoring 3 goals. Swayman, they finally started Swayman in net. They listened to the fans. I doubt that. They think they just came to the decision that it was a better decision to play Swayman, which I agree. It definitely was. I'd say keep playing him all the way through. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. One guy's won you 3 games, one guy's lost you 1. I don't think it was Allmark's fault that they lost that game. Again, I will say that. But if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Stick with this. Swayman only letting in 1 goal last night, had some remarkable saves. How many shots did he have? Yeah, 24 saves on 25 shots with a .960 save percentage. Great save percentage, not a high volume of shots, and you credit the defense for that. I think that the problems that the Bruins have had in the first game and the second game, and yes, the first game, even though they won that game by a convincing victory, they still had some significant problems in terms of their shots, their ability to control the tempo and hold possession in their offensive zone. I thought that they've really ironed out these problems somehow in these last 2 games, and this to me looks like a Stanley Cup winning team. You carve out an early lead for yourself. 1 goal in the first, 2 in the second. That goal that Pastrnak scored off the assist from Marchand, textbook hockey. That is what a great hockey team does. Score a goal like that in a clutch situation in the playoffs to put yourself up 3-0. You never quit. That was clinical from Pasta. Just a wrist shot over to the left side, right past the goalie on his weak side, far post. That was just a remarkable goal. And really, I mean, all 3 of these goals were solid. Toronto, I thought, was going to mount a comeback. They scored with like 14 minutes left in that third period. But then again, like this is why I talk about how I feel like the Bruins have been able to make these strong adjustments. They didn't let the momentum slip. They kept their foot on the gas and they, just locked in defensively and kept it a 3-1 game all the way through. They didn't even give themselves a scare by having it go to 3-2 and then winning that way. They definitely didn't send it to overtime, which is something that I feel like we were so frustrated with from the Bruins throughout the year, that they would just let these leads slip so easily and head into overtime. They didn't do that this time, obviously goes without saying. The defense looks great. McAvoy had a great game, got an assist. I thought he made some really big defensive plays throughout the whole, throughout all three periods. I thought, top to bottom, this was a great performance and makes me feel very confident about this team going forward. Assuming that they do close this series out. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, just like I don't want to with the Celtics, even though the Bruins do have a bigger lead over the Maple Leafs and are further along into their series. Hopefully they can wrap this up in the Garden on Tuesday night. Besides all of this, looking forward to that second round, I think the Bruins have a really good chance of beating the Panthers. I really do. Now, yet again, Tampa did win a game last night. It is 3-1 that series. Tampa, in theory, could still win. I hope that they push it late and the Bruins wrap this up so they can get a little more rest before their second round. But it would be kind of crazy if the Lightning went on to win that series. I'm going to take the Panthers, and I think that the Bruins beat the Panthers somewhat easily. I really do. And, there's a few reasons for this. The Panthers are obviously, the Bruins hate them because of what happened last year. And the Bruins, every time they played them this year, have won. And that convinces me that they'll be able to do that again in the playoffs, especially if they keep up this form. For whatever reason, between second game and third game, maybe losing and having that series be tied up was a wake-up call. The urgency of going in to enemy ice and having to, at the very least, split, never mind win both. That's a tremendous result. And I think that the attitude of the team changed once they became rattled by tying up. The prospect of being another first-round exit after last season when they were a first-round exit. I think this idea was enough to rattle them into becoming the team that they can be. And tonight, and a few nights ago when they played Game 3, that's the team that I want to see. That's the team that they can be, right? Just playing hockey in their way, controlling possession, ironing out these issues that you've had, limiting turnovers, Swayman making some great plays, Pastrnak actually scoring, contributing at a high level to this team, Marchand, your top guys, not relying on guys like Johnny Beecher or Justin Brazo, no disrespect to those guys, but not relying on them to make plays for you, which I feel like they did, especially towards the end of the regular season. I love seeing the guys at the top contribute at a high level because that's what championship teams do. Austin Matthews, leaving the game early last night, really hurt Toronto. Right? If David Pastrnak left for the Bruins, I would hope that would really hurt Boston. I was so pissed that ESPN ranked Pasta as the 17th best player in the NHL playoffs. This should not be the case because he is a 1A on this team, and Marchand should be the 1B, or DeBrusk should be the 1B. And these guys showing up in a big way, playoff Marchand is here. This instills a lot of confidence in me that they will be able to move forward effectively. As I said, Game 5 is going to be on Tuesday night back at the Garden. Hopefully it is packed. They definitely need people to show out for them. The crowd will hopefully help them. Even though like the Bruins, I feel like home ice advantage hasn't been a huge difference maker for them this season. And definitely not in the playoffs. I mean, they've now won more away games than home games so far. The Celtics hopefully will be in a similar predicament. But for me, I think that this team has all it takes to easily advance past this series and advance past the next one too. That challenge is obviously going to be the winner of the Rangers and the Hurricanes series. That's going to be a tough matchup for the Bruins, especially if it's the Rangers, who the Bruins could not beat at all this year. But I have faith. These last two games have instilled a lot of faith in me that this Bruins team can move forward and make a deeper run into the playoffs. Let's move on and talk about a team that is a long way away from the playoffs, both in terms of their talent gap and the actual time of year. The New England Patriots. I want to talk about, I already covered Drake May ad nauseum. I think it's a great pick. I'm very happy that they made it. I want to go over all the other picks that they made in the following days, in the following rounds, starting off with Jalen Polk, 37th overall pick out of Washington. This is troubling to me, this pick. And let me start by saying, I think the Patriots had a good draft. I think top to bottom, especially in some of the later rounds, which I'll get into later, I thought they had a really solid go. First round was great, and then 4th through 7th was great. Second and third, I think Jalen Polk is a little bit of a reach. And the reason why it frustrates me is because Adonai Mitchell, the Texas wide receiver, was still on the board and actually didn't end up getting drafted until about 15 picks later, who is just better in every metric athletically. He's faster, he's bigger, he gets more separation. I think that he would have been the better pick here. I know there are some concerns about his work ethic, I believe it was, and his ability to get along with teammates or something. And Jalen Polk is a big character guy. They rave about him. He's a team player, yada, yada, yada. I don't really care about that kind of stuff anymore. It's like, I don't care about character. I care about a guy who's going to go out there and get you touchdowns. So I would have preferred to take the guy who is a proven, a much more proven guy. And to me, that's Donnie Mitchell. But then again, I'm going to say the same thing with all these picks. I'm going to give them a chance because why not? I'm going to watch him play and I'm going to see how it plays out. I think he could be a really solid wide receiver too. But the problem is the Patriots already have a bunch of really solid wide receiver twos. I think Kendrick Bourne is a solid wide receiver too. Pop Douglas could be that. You need a one guy who I think they might have got later, and we'll get into that. But yeah, I think this is a meh pick, and the next one is too. Caden Wallace out of Penn State. He was projected way lower. I'm looking at the Patriots website right now, and Arif Hassan does a yearly consensus of the top draft analysts. He was ranked as the 186th player, and the Patriots got him at 68. Brutal. I know that tackle is a position of need, but I mean, just a few picks before, the Chiefs got Suamatia, I think that's how you say his name. Jamal Charles is the one who read off that pick, and very hilariously, he could not say San Francisco 49ers or read really anything. Suamatia, I believe that's his name. I would have wanted the Patriots to go up and get that guy, or what's the name of the kid from Notre Dame? Blake something. I wish they would have got up and, got one of these higher name tackles who were higher rated. But instead, they were forced to reach instead of trading up. I wish they would have traded up big time because tackle is obviously still a huge need for the Patriots. But again, I'm gonna give this guy the benefit of the doubt. He did only allow, I believe he only allowed 2 sacks on 350 attempts or something. So, I think he's a good rush protector. I think his problem is his run protection, if I'm correct. Yeah. I'm reading this right now. He's a good pass protector, but he needs to work on his run protection. And then Layden Robinson, who they picked in the 4th round, meh. It's like he's a guard, but the Patriots are already super stacked at that position. Could you move him to tackle? Maybe, but I get concerned when you move a guy to a different position, and tackle and guard are completely different positions. We saw Onwenu struggle when the Patriots tried to switch him around at guard, and they moved him to right tackle, and he's locked in and dialed in. He does a great job there, and he's going to be the right tackle for the Patriots for the foreseeable future, as they just locked him down. So I don't know about this one. So let's get into the positive one. Javon Baker. Great pick. I cannot say enough about how much I love this kid, his attitude. I'm sure we've all seen the quote by now. Show up, bring your popcorn. I make people in wheelchairs stand up. Love that attitude. This is the new Patriots culture that I'm so excited for. All these players don't have to act like robots. It's I feel like under Bill Belichick, everyone was too scared to speak to the media. Everyone was too scared to speak out, to, be cool, to have any sort of excitement because of the Bill Belichick do your job system. I feel like just sucked so much of the joy out of football, especially when you're losing. When you're winning, you can make up for that because you're, the best team in football and you're making money and you're getting rings and you can make up for that sort of lack of life. But over the past few years, I feel like the Patriots haven't had any life. The players haven't had life or excitement, and I'm excited to see a guy that's going to come out and say that. And I think that he has potential to be a true number 1 receiver. He was great at UCF. Yes, he had to leave Alabama to get that playing time and get that opportunity at UCF. But I mean, he had almost 1,200 yards and 7 touchdowns last year. Yes, his 40 time isn't great, but I mean he has a great ability to catch balls just like Jalen Polk. Polk is like a catch magnet. I feel like this guy Javon Baker is like a huge play magnet. I feel like this guy can make some really, really great plays. He has huge upside, and he's going to be a great weapon for Drake May. I love that the Patriots went with 2 wide receivers. I wish that they went with Mitchell instead of Polk, but I'm not going to grumble too much. I think that these are great moves, especially Javon Baker, to get him that low. I think he was projected a lot higher. I thought he was going to go a lot higher, so I'm happy to see this. And then Marcellus Dial, meh. It's just whatever. Joe Milton is very interesting. Quarterback out of Tennessee. I like this one. I'm gonna say it. I like this pick because at this point in the 6th and 7th round, you're going for Flyers, and it doesn't bother me that the Patriots took 2 quarterbacks this draft. Because you never know what you could have with him, right? He could be a solid backup guy. This to me signals the end of the Bailey Zappi era in New England. I think that's that ship has sailed. I assume he'll get traded or released because they now have Jacoby Brissett, Drake May, and now Joe Milton. They're going to stick with Joe Milton and Drake May, obviously, and Jacoby Brissett's going to stick there to mentor those younger guys. So I think it's done for Bailey Zappi. I think Zappi hour is over. I think he'll be out sooner rather than later. But I'm fine with this pick. He's got a great arm, ridiculous arm. He can throw 80-yard bombs. He's very aggressive. His decision making isn't great, but he's got a great arm. So maybe you can develop into a solid backup or even a starter if Drake May doesn't work out. Who knows? Knock on wood, because we want Drake May to work out. We want Drake May to be the tight end, to be the quarterback of the future for the Patriots. But I guess why I said tight end is because I was already thinking about my segue into Jaheim Bell. I actually like this pick a lot. The Patriots are good at tight end because they have Henry and Hooper, but this guy's decent. He's, I think he's a sneaky good pick with your last pick. I think that he'll fit well into the offense if he does make the roster, which I think he will. He did really good at Florida State. I think that he can be really effective as a pass catcher and a blocker. He has a pretty low floor, but I think his ceiling could actually be sneaky high. He's obviously much better as a pass catcher than a blocker, but I think he could still, I think he has potential with his blocking. He doesn't have the size, but you never know. You never know what you'll get. So overall, I will say this Patriots draft, I will give it like a B or a B plus. I think you could have done a little better on day 2. Day 1 was great, knocked it out of the park by just doing the easiest thing possible. And I thought day 3 was definitely a hit. I think you did really good on day 3. So overall, B plus. I'm really excited to see how this draft class shakes out. I have a lot of high hope for it, the highest hope I've had in a long time with the Patriots draft class, and I cannot wait for training camp. Before we wrap up, we have 2 more teams to go over, and how about the Red Sox? 17-0 yesterday against the Chicago Cubs after dropping their first game 7-1 in the series. Hello, Ceddanne Rafaela. Hello. This was just dominance from the start to finish. The Red Sox played a perfect offensive game and a perfect defensive game, in the shutout and the 17-run victory. 5th inning is when things really got going. Ceddanne Rafaela cleared the bases with an RBI double. All 3 guys got to base. We saw a home run from Tyler O'Neill to rip things off, and Ceddanne Rafaela ended up hitting another home run in his 7 RBI day. And this is what you want to see from Ceddanne Rafaela because his hitting has been suspect. Let's be honest. He's a great defender, and he's got a lot of speed and a lot of upside as a fielder in this league, but his hitting has been the thing. I think he hasn't been careful enough about he's the kind of guy that just swings on everything. His batting average was relatively low, and this was just a great way for him to announce to the Boston fans at Fenway Park. Also, finally, this is the best performance that they've had at Fenway Park in so long. I like 17-0. I'm hard-pressed to remember a better performance that they've had at Fenway Park than 17-0. This was a great, great performance, and what a great way to kick off a great Boston sports day. This was like the best Boston sports day I can remember because every team won, besides the Revolution, which I'll get into in just a second, but the Celtics won, Bruins won, Red Sox won, big, and even the Patriots, they didn't play a game, but I thought they won with what they did in the draft. So this was a huge day in Boston sports, and the Red Sox just pouring it on in this game. I mean, let me look. Almost every single player got a hit in this game, besides Connor Wong, which is surprising to me because his bat has been really hot recently. But Abreu, 2 hits. O'Neill, 3 hits. Ceddanne Rafaela, 4 hits. Yoshida, 4 hits and an RBI. I mean, this is what this Red Sox offense has the potential to be. They just have to realize this potential and, keep it pushing. I mean, imagine, and this is without, this is without Tristan Casas. this is what they can do. Yeah, I have faith in this team, and I have faith in the future of this team. That's what a game like this does. Yes, it might have been, like I don't expect them to ever do this again, but you can't look at a 16-run game and say that this team is just garbage, because they're not. This shows that they have potential to be a good offense. A bad offense cannot put up 17 runs in any game, ever. This is not a bad offense. And the defense looked good. They held them to a shutout with Josh Winkowski and Brennan Bernardino and Justin Slayton and Cam Boozer and Pablo Reyes pitching. Like, not even one of their starters. So this looks good to me. I'm very happy about the Red Sox. It makes you forget that they got embarrassed on Friday night 7-1. This makes you forget about everything that's gone wrong in the season so far. 15-13. They keep the winning record, and they are just 3 games back of the Orioles for the 1 spot. Love what I saw. Hopefully they can, build on that momentum, close out this series against the Cubs with a win tonight before they move into a 3-gamer against the Giants. I will actually be at one of those games on Tuesday night. I'll be going for Star Wars night. Big Star Wars fan, if you didn't know. I will be going and grabbing the Star Wars jersey that they are giving out. I believe it's Mandalorian themed this year, so excited for that. But yeah, I will take the Red Sox in this series 2-1 because I think the Giants are an inferior team. What's their record? I should probably check that. I think the Giants are an inferior team at this point, and 13-15. They got a worse record. I'll take the Red Sox to keep it rolling and finally get going here at Fenway. Yesterday's got to be a catalyst. It has to be. 17-0. That is the catalyst for your season, and that is going to start to get you going. Meanwhile, let's talk about a team that has nothing to get them going. The New England Revolution lost 4-1 yesterday against Lionel Messi, Luis Suarez, and Inter Miami coming to Foxborough to a sold-out 65,000 people crowd. Expected. I think I predicted 3-0. Tommy Shankalai scored a goal, a beautiful goal, by the way, in the first 45 seconds of the game. Carles Hill got the ball back, hit him on a nice pass. Shankalai with a nice finish from the right side. I believe the expected goal was 0.05 or something. That shot should not have went in, but it crept in, and they were up 1-0, and it lasted about a half hour before Lionel Messi really announced his presence. He scored 2 goals yesterday, almost had the hat trick. Luis Suarez also scored. I mean, it's just unfair. This team, it really is, and I don't want to whine, but it's unfair. And on one hand, I love that Messi's in the league because it brings a lot of attention to it. And I love that Suarez is here because, again, these guys bring attention and excitement to the league that I think they haven't had in a long time. But on the other hand, it's they're just so far and away better than the other teams in the MLS, especially when Messi's rolling like that, like he was yesterday. I mean, no MLS defender can contain him. He's the GOAT. He's the greatest player of all time. It's tough. But, yeah, no one expected the Revs to win this game. They're now 1-7-1. Disgusting. And there's no hope for this team. Let's just be honest with ourselves. For whatever reason, they're garbage this year. Like I've said the whole podcast, they have a good roster. They should be a lot better than they are. Caleb Porter is not a good manager for whatever reason, and he should be a good manager, but he's just not right now. Defense is poor. I mean, I'll give them a break because they did have some guys out last night. There was a food poisoning situation going on, I believe. But offense is poor. They benched Vrioni because for Shankalai, which looked good at the beginning of the game. But yeah, Vrioni's production has been awful this season. It's just it's tough. It's a bleak outlook. Dylan Barrero back on the field though. That's good. Maybe he can single-handedly save this team. No, in reality, nothing can. So that's that with the Revs. I'll preview their next game on Thursday, but I just have less and less things to say about this team. Especially with so many good things going on in Boston, that's what I want to be focusing on. The good things. We have 2 teams who are leading in the first round of the playoffs right now, and the Patriots have established a pretty bright future, and the Red Sox look decent. So let's not harp on the New England Revolution, MLS worst New England Revolution. Let's focus on the good. Thanks so much for tuning in. As always, my name is Jackson Tolliver. I'm your host on Titletown Talk. Big game tomorrow. Celtics looking to take that 3-1 lead. That is where all of the eyes should be right now. And then, of course, the Bruins looking to close things out on Tuesday, back at home at the Garden. Big week for Boston sports. Big week. Good luck to all the teams playing. Like I said, I'm your host, Jackson Tolliver. I'll see you on Thursday.